You might not realize this, but the equestrian media world is quite lucrative. Major celebrities all around the world love horses. Rich people love horses. And you wouldn't even realize that there was a very large equestrian-focused media company. Today we have the pleasure of speaking with the CEO, Tom Pierce, about his journey helping launch StreamHorse and where he's planning to take it from here. Tell me a little bit about your background, what got you excited about this? And
So we connected through Andrew Stella, who was one of the first people I ever met at college in 2007, and we've been friends ever since.
Where'd you go?
Siena College.
Siena, all
outside
right.
Albany.
Love it.
And was a finance major there, and right out of school was hired by Goldman Sachs in their private wealth management division. So I was doing financial planning over the phone for executives at Fortune 500 companies, and kind of thrown into the fire. Yeah, all over the phone, dude, like 10 hours a day talking to 10 different people and thousands of plans. I learned so much about people and business and humanity almost in a way. It's
Follow
wild.
the money, baby.
So then I moved from Albany down closer to home in New Jersey and started working at a multifamily office called Pathstone. Was one of the earliest hires there on their investment team. And they had just formed themselves, so I was a part of a really exciting acquisition-minded RIA, and so indirectly saw them scale from one office to 5.
Wow.
And was really, just fascinating learning experience for like a middle-class kid.
Totally.
And my clients were all first-generation wealth creators for the most part. Centimillionaires and higher.
Wow.
And
Centimillionaires, 100 million and
Yeah.
above. Wow.
Yeah.
That must have been a wild world.
Yeah, man, like a shock. Like literally, like family on Obamacare, and then I'm managing $1 billion under management. And so I got a crash course in investments, relationship management, and then a lot of my clients were startup investors. So managing startup investments for them, reporting for them, doing all the due diligence.
How is that like? Would somebody just come in and be like, yo, I want to go park like a fucking $1 million with some idea,
Yes.
and like you're just basically the one sniffing at it?
Yeah, and that nonchalant.
Yeah.
Which is wild. And so a few of those ended up being, great investments. A few of those were legitimate fraud. A lot of, what we learned is a lot of people start calling when you amass that level of wealth.
Totally.
And so, my role was to, the BS detector, the fraud detector.
So you're helping people save money and also just be an advisor.
And invest.
And invest
substantially.
Got it.
And
okay.
so, investments is, when you have $100 million, that's larger than some companies.
Yeah.
And so it's a wild portfolio, really diverse. And so I got a, Ivy League education on investments, which is, and then I said, I kind of want to be a client.
Totally.
Yeah.
So what was it like working with these founders? What'd you learn?
You got to risk it. You got to take that risk. You follow your gut, leap of faith. And those moments ended up happening for me. So that, I was listening to them, and then, just work ethic and vision.
Yeah, so then you took the jump. So what was the impetus to saying, I'm going to hang up my hat at the family office and decide to go your own way?
Well, it wasn't StreamHorse, which is the wild thing. It was horse-related, though. So my mother is a fine artist, world-renowned fine artist. Horses is our passion. And so that's why I've always been around horses.
Even growing up?
I rode for a few minutes.
Did you?
Yeah.
How was that?
I got a yellow ribbon in the lead line. I always wanted to run wild, out west, like City Slickers. Legit, that was I was 6 watching City Slickers, I think.
That was it.
And I told my mom I wanted to ride a horse, and so we went, and then she kind of stuck with it way more. And then she's always drawn them, and I've always kind of been her business manager. She's an artist, and like a true artist. When Instagram launched, she was one of the first equine artists on Instagram, and that gave us access to a very inaccessible world.
Yeah.
The horse world. Fragmented, inaccessible, battling all sorts of stigmas. So her career took off.
That's great.
We started working with the largest charities and celebrities in the industry. But she's also an amazing teacher and amazing on camera. So we launched a little Bob Ross type series called Pierce the Heart Lessons. I had that plus a consulting gig that I had lined up, and my 401k, and that's what led me to take the leap of faith from Pathstone. And then pandemic hits. Her art lessons went relatively viral.
Wow.
And
So she's teaching people how to paint or how to draw.
How to draw, basics of drawing. To start, we did a pilot, shot it in the city. Did it legit, Kickstarter for it and everything. Yeah, it was fun, and that kickstarted like the dreams coming true, and like things starting to unlock. Essentially, our production team for her show, we ended up with a great team, Emmy-winning team, but the pandemic led to people being furloughed. And I was like, I wanted to do this all digital to begin with. I thought YouTube is going to be, where to be, especially for something like that, and short form videos that could go viral. And so we're all in on that. And I was, looking, how do I do that though? She had 9,000 followers. Some brands wouldn't talk to her because she didn't have 10 yet. It's kind of like, okay, this is so silly.
That's the game.
And then the next day, I got an email that StreamHorse TV was for sale. Quickly jumped on that opportunity.
So talk to us. What was StreamHorse?
StreamHorse TV was founded in 2014, the same time I got my mom on Instagram. It was founded by a couple of show jumpers and one of the leading magazines, and it was a one-page website of the TV guide for the live stream broadcasts of like the biggest horse shows in the English world, which is the jumping, dressage, eventing. It was a really simple one-page website. And it didn't even look nice. But it had amassed the following. It's like 60,000 followers at the time. Was a revenue-generating, highly profitable one-page website. I selfishly saw it as a distribution for my mom's art lessons.
That's it.
But the biggest problem with the horse world, there's many, is that it is extremely siloed and decentralized, and that trickles down from the sport and the hobbies to the media. And there was never a media outlet that got enough reach for the ad dollars that they were asking to promote her art or her lessons. So I was frustrated with the industry as a endemic advertiser.
Right.
And I was like, oh man, there's hundreds of sports and all of them have live streams. At the very least, I'm going to turn this website into a live stream TV guide for all of the horse world. Rodeo, polo, there's horseball, which is basketball and rugby on horseback, which is so dope. There's lacrosse on horseback, polo cross. Which is pretty cool. That's huge in Australia and the UK.
Wait, playing lacrosse on horses.
Yeah, man, it's awesome. And yeah, big in South Africa, Australia, and the UK, and they don't have much of a presence here. It's like 5 people maybe.
Right, because I hear a lot about how polo is like one of the like most luxurious, high net worth, individual gatherings. They go around. They happen all over the world.
Yeah,
right?
It's the sport of kings, they say.
Yeah, it's wild.
Oh, royal family plays.
Yeah, so this already reaches like a really high value audience, but you're saying that there's so much opportunity on the media side because ESPN might only pick up a little bit, or there's like some weird sports book over there, but there's no like hub for equestrian media.
Exactly, and not one that's cool and fun and younger generation focused. The original demo of the platform, albeit siloed, was extremely valuable.
Right.
Most equestrians are multidisciplinary anyway. A husband might be a cowboy and the wife might be a jumper and vice versa in any permutation. By bringing even rodeo in, which and racing especially, and polo does the events right. They're fun events. A lot of the live events in the horse world are really boring. From the media side to the live event side, it's kind of the same pain points. By broadening the reach and limitless, especially limitless reach around the world, $300 billion industry. Wow. Horses are everywhere.
Yeah, I was going to ask, what's like an average rate for a horse? Like, I know there's the racing horses, polo horses. Like, what's the kind of range that somebody needs to invest in order to own a horse?
It could be a couple million. Up in Saratoga, and all around the country, but Saratoga has a fun yearling sale at the end of August, and you can go and it's a big party. Everyone's welcome free, and a couple of horses went for $2.5 million while I was there. These are 1-year-olds.
So this whole category is about $300 billion.
Yeah, and 2/3 of it is racing.
Wow.
Racing has a different demo even in and of itself. Obviously, there are bettors and handicappers and gamblers, but there are awesome stories to be told in that world too. But to your point about how ESPN might pick something up, or you might get a flash on Good Morning America about an equine rescue, the headline just yesterday was record 7.5 hours that NBC will be covering the Derby on Saturday.
Wow.
And 7.5 hours, how many hours are, that's our goal is to fill that other
Yeah.
massive hole of not, sports not being covered in the horse world on an accessible level.
But so you guys cover all aspects of horses and equestrian media.
Mm-hmm.
So from the racing to the more lifestyle content. You mentioned that there's a lot of like celebrity influencers and stuff.
yeah.
I mean, I feel like it's an every day there's like another celebrity that decides to go, get into jumping or horse care.
yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about like some of the more like interesting cultural kind of happenings? Like who's in this space that's championing, it right now?
Yeah, so on the English side is a lot of the mainstream celebrities, Mary-Kate Olsen, Kaylee Cuoco, Jessica Springsteen, Georgina Bloomberg. And so they're involved competitively, but they do a lot of great charitable work as well, where they work with a lot of the same charities that we work with in rescuing and adopting, and great storytelling there. And then in the Western world, you have your, Yellowstone and the resurgence of the cowboy and the Western lifestyle and culture. Polo is kind of always been around. It's always been a great affluent pastime. And, you have the polo famous folks like Nacho, but you also have the royal family, princes and princesses around the world that we don't even know the names of who play too. So really influential, Beyonce, The Rock, Mark Wahlberg's daughter rides. I can name drop 100 celebrities, and then you have some awesome influencers. And then you've got about 1,000 plus actual equestrian influencers that you've never heard of, but are all operating independently and doing some awesome stuff too.
That's great. So everybody's tackling the industry from their own angle. You got the celebrity endorsements and the kids of influencers involved in the sport. The thing that's always interesting is like, where do they go for content about what they care about?
There's a few players in their silos, behind paywalls or magazines that have transitioned digitally, and they're kind of expensive because it is a premium demographic. But there are plenty of horse people that have discretionary income, but it all goes into their horse.
Right.
Even if they're wealthy, if you're trying to count their money. But also, too, there's billions of horse lovers that will never be able to afford a horse ever, and they can't afford these, behind the paywall platforms.
Totally.
So, aside from that, it's social media. And there's only a couple streamers, and it's following individual influencers and StreamHorse on social media to get that daily binge.
Yeah, you hear a lot about, I think, in the industry with like Condé Nast over the years, where they would acquire like all these very like small niche publications, like Northern Californian Wine Enthusiast, magazine, and then try to bring that online because they have this like really affluent demographic. But then when you get tied up with one of these big media companies, it doesn't get the love that it needs, and then all of a sudden you're paywalling it. There's a quarterly magazine, and I think it sounds like what you're looking to do is really just like open up everything, right, and become the main destination for people to experience this whole exciting market.
Yes.
That's great. So tell me a little bit more about like what you guys are doing right now. What's this whole process looking like where you guys are at?
So since we acquired StreamHorse TV in 2020, I kind of jumped on the opportunity, so it was sat for a little bit. And then I met my partner, Natalie, who is a world-class documentarian and journalist. Spent over a decade at MTV doing their live events and their True Life series. We hit the ground running in 21 with just building our partnerships and our IP. We could get away with doing content for next to nothing. We were still kind of in the pandemic, so it was a lot of over the computer and but winning awards within the industry, and live events were still happening, so we're still broadcasting those streams, and we made some amazing partnerships and started scaling. Our KPIs took off, and then we were approached at the end of 21 by one of our media partners, Equine America Magazine, to acquire them. We hit the ground running with that acquisition, and not long after, we were approached by Horse TV Global to acquire them. And Horse TV Global is one of the largest television libraries of equestrian television education and entertainment in the world. It's the original Horse TV that was on DirecTV many moons ago. Original founders, and didn't transition very well in digital in the early 2000s. And our partner John acquired that library and has done really well on Roku and YouTube. And so now we have a magazine, a ton of amazing television, and our legacy StreamHorse brand, which is social media influencer brand partnerships, and a great young focus through digital media.
That's great. So it sounds like you guys came in with, young, bright eyes into this entire category, did some interesting acquisitions on the digital TV and print side, roll it all up, and now you're ultimately looking to bring this to market as one cohesive kind of solution. Or can you talk a little bit about what does this look like now in the future? What are you guys up to this year?
Yeah, we're a bit of a mini conglomerate, and it all happened very fast and excitingly. So we're scaling the team. I jumped on a bunch of opportunities, and we're a small but mighty team at the moment. And so we're scaling the team, and there's actually a couple other acquisitions that are waiting for us that will bring us team members plus revenue, profit generating assets with tremendous SEO. And a lot of these magazines are looking for exits themselves, and they've done a decent job transitioning to be digital. So along with that comes monetized YouTube channels and fantastic juice on the internet. And the goal is to scale. We can scale relatively dramatically with the plan that I have in place. Really looking to exponentially increase our reach and our content output simultaneously in that plan, with a really lean team that comes from mainstream media and a few other teammates, aside from Natalie, who've had successful media exits as well, which is awesome.
Music to our ears. We're all about lean and mean media companies with, what you're saying, new, fresh blood. And I think what you're also tapping into is something that we're seeing as a trend where you have a lot of boomers and older generations that are looking to retire or just generally liquidate their assets. And you're a buyer of those assets, and it can be, generally at an affordable price because you're one of the few buyers that actually wants to come in this category, it sounds like.
Yes, the opportunity is ours. I'll say that.
Yeah, that's great. So I guess can you talk a little bit about some of the ways that you make money?
So we're ad supported. We have brand partnerships throughout the horse world and creative ones as well. Some affiliate deals, monetized distribution through YouTube, Roku, and Snapchat, working with you guys. And then we have a partnership with the talent agency Buckwald, and our agent Scott is out pitching the library to the biggest distributors out there in television and in the streaming side, is we're sitting on a gold mine of content, television, written, and social that is I just need humans to post.
Totally.
And I need, strategically monetizing and hitting it all. But right now we do a great job with our ad supported.
That's great. I mean, you've got all the aspects to a modern media company. And I feel like I've been watching a bunch of watch salesmen on TikTok. And I think Rolex is obviously one of the big boys in the category. And really any brand that's looking to reach ultra high net worth individuals are prime for this. I mean, can you share a little bit about some of the big brands in the space that are actively investing in this?
So on the live event side, so the entire industry has a massive non-endemic awareness and brand partnership problem. You don't notice it as someone who's not involved in the world because you'll watch the Derby and you'll see 10 different car companies and the Longines and Rolex and whatnot. And then you've got the major jumping events and polo matches, but there's thousands, tens of thousands of events around the world that really struggle to bring in non-endemic sponsors. And then that happens down here on the media side too, because there's no outlet large enough that makes it worthy of those companies' time. So our focus is to get to that point, which we're pretty much at, and our team at Buckwald is starting those conversations with these big brands. You're talking about McDonald's, Coca-Cola, every car company, but beverage, Budweiser, luxury, travel, Western, apparel, and we will be that large to make it worth their while because the opportunity is limitless. We're talking about, and there's companies around the world that I don't even know the names of.
All luxury stuff. Yeah. I mean, as a former media buyer for Samsung, I recognize that the small niche publishers are really tough to work with, and if you can amass enough scale and audience. You're opening yourself up to a whole nother world of sponsorship money, and you're getting away from the mom and pop shops. But now you got the big, multinational companies coming in to support the work. Can you talk a little bit about some more of the content and some of the different series that you guys are publishing? What's coming up? Obviously we got the Derby this weekend.
Yeah.
What else are you guys cooking up?
So we have it all from written audio and television and social media. We have a great series called Retraining Goals, and we partner with the Retired Racehorse Project, which is one of the largest, thoroughbred aftercare charities in the world. We're telling the stories of these horses that are retraining to the second careers, and right now we have a really great undergoing series with a famous horse, Whitmore, and he has an amazing story of he was almost not even bought because he was so difficult.
Wow.
And now he's learning. He ended up winning like $8 or $9 million in earnings. Won the Breeders' Cup at 6 or 7 years old, and is now learning how to jump. And it's amazing to watch. As someone who I never knew anything about the racing world growing up, and I'm really transparent about a lot of parts of the horse world that I'm not incredibly versed on. It's been really cool to watch as a relative outsider, even though I run the company. And so we do a lot of content with our charitable partners. And we've come up with a great way to monetize that in a really cost-effective way and capture people's hearts, too.
Yeah, and I also heard a rumor that, every 3 or 6 minutes there's another horse race going off around the world.
Yeah.
Obviously, betting is probably a big category for you, too, right?
Yes, yeah. We are in the early stages of capitalizing on the gambling, very infant stages. We work with some of those companies that are kind of getting going. It's a bit of a time machine, which is dope for investors because it's like 5 or 10 years ago in mainstream media and sports in the horse world.
Yeah.
So we're getting great partnerships early on with, as the floodgates open. I mean, I can't remember the handle growth number specifically in racing wagering over the last year, but it's over $12 billion total.
Wow.
I don't know what it's globally, but it's massive.
I heard in Australia that that's the real constant because it's not tied to any particular season.
Yeah, it's year round, obviously. Most of the sports are year round. Some of the niche sports aren't. It does attract a completely different demographic than the show jumping and the rodeo. So our audience is really diverse, but all the same sports appear and are popular on every continent.
So let's talk a little bit more about the investment opportunity. So what do you want? What are you going to do with money? What are you looking for? What are you going to spend the money on and invest it in? What should investors know about this?
So we're raising to essentially catch up to our growth on a scale perspective on the back end with our team, the acquisitions that are essentially waiting for us, which are profitable. Like I said already, very, very compelling investments at great prices. We're going to fuel our growth with the library of assets that we have. We just have some short-term scale opportunities that I can't wait any longer to jump on, which is exciting. So it's about 50-50 with that on the raise.
Got it.
Yeah.
And when you look at other kind of comparable companies in your space, I know you mentioned that going from a smaller publisher to a much larger one. I think there's obviously some tie-ins to what Barstool's journey has been around just broad sports. Can you talk a little bit about some of the other kind of comparables that you would align yourself or kind of compare yourself to?
I'd say the Barstool, talent-focused, content, compelling storytelling, diverse, younger generation focused media companies. And our plan is much more on the daily output side from our talent and make these equestrian influencers who are famous in their own right already mainstream.
That's great.
Along the way.
Cool.
Yeah.
So talk to us a little bit about the audience that you reach right now. Talk to the platforms you're on and how many people you reach and
So we're reaching about 11 million enthusiasts monthly.
Wow.
And that comes from our channels across all the digital media, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Roku. Our email list is quite large. We've got some decent web traffic. Part of the raise is to boost that as well, some growth hacking there, and a little bit of a website makeover. We have about 250,000 subscribers, true subscribers at the moment, from around the world, which is awesome. About 60% international, 40%
wow,
US.
that's great. Yeah. That's a huge audience. I mean, and also a wealthy audience, right?
Yeah,
I mean, these people have a high amount of disposable income, and whether they're endemic brands or non-endemic, if you want to reach this super affluent audience, especially around the world, it seems like a perfect opportunity for brands, and especially I think with your roll-up strategy of acquiring these other assets and bringing them all under one hood, you become the go-to place for these brands and audiences to come to. So. I think you're onto something big.
Yeah. What I lack in media experience before this, I make up for in professional investing experience, and I have a hedge fund mentality. I mean, we could talk about outside of media, the opportunities that can come up that are coming to me too, but on the media side, it's ripe for consolidation and being that overlay. I like to call it an overlay of the world, and everyone's welcome, and the legacy media brands are also welcome, and we are already working with them too.
Yeah, that's
so
great.
It's cool, yeah.
Love it. So where do you see the company growing in the next 5 to 10 years?
To be one of the mainstream media brands that everybody knows. I think that's incredibly attainable in 3 years. Horses are so universal in humanity. There's something to be created or shared with for everyone, even the non-affluent audience members that we might have as well, and in countries that I don't even know how to pronounce. So 10 years, global digital dominance.
That's great. I love it.
You Google horse and you find StreamHorse.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's great. Tom, thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks, Brian.
over
Appreciate
here
it,
at
man.
Bullish. We'll be in touch. I hope everybody enjoyed my conversation with the founder and CEO of StreamHorse, Tom Pierce. If you're interested in learning more about StreamHorse, please check out streamhorsetv.com or just search StreamHorse on Google. This is the first of hopefully many interviews that we have with founders that are looking to expand and grow their businesses, both from fundraising and from other methods. So we appreciate you tuning in. And if you like this episode, please feel free to leave a comment below, shoot us a like, and make sure you're subscribed to Bullish. Thank you very much, and we'll see you again next time.